Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Phil's Recap and Review. This is Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 5, The Bells feedback show. And today we have with you a very special guest, good friend of the show. And usually we like to wait a couple years in between our podcasting appearances. We like to make people wait for it. No, but this is I'm fortunate enough to have the Walking David here for more recently. Welcome to the show, David.
Hey, what's up, dude? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to talking about this season with you.
I know.
Really
I've had you on so recently that I didn't even give you a good intro. I'm like, yeah, everybody, welcome to the show, and this is David. You know, David's a...
He was here shitting on another finale.
Yeah. David and I were talking about the Walking Dead finale a couple of months ago. If you want to check that out, and also somewhere there does exist a Back to the Future review with David and I. That occasionally I still get messages, where's Back to the Future 2? But also, we're not alone. We have with us, of course, the live motherfucking chat. We got Alan, we got Chrissy, we got King Cat, Pick of Destiny, Peter Griffin, Cloud, Top Loaded Gaming, Carrie. We got so many good friends popping in and out here. Today, this is a feedback show. We will be taking the live motherfucking chat, but for the most part, we'll be looking at our feedback questions that we got sent to us this week via text. We have a couple of texts, couple of voicemails, and then I'm going to go into the comment section of the review video and go into those. This was an interesting episode of Game of Thrones for a lot of reasons, and a lot of people have the intensity coming off of this one. It also, I think, consistently in the last 3 episodes have gotten lower ratings from people on like the IMDb ratings, and all those kind of things have all been going downhill on this episode. And I feel, David and I were talking about this a little bit before the show, there's 2 things going on right now. The first thing is, anyone that is complaining about people complaining, you guys can go fuck yourselves. Okay? Like, just because someone has an opinion and it differs from yours doesn't mean you can be like, oh, people suck. They'd be unhappy no matter what these guys did. No. That's not necessarily true. I think some people would be unhappy no matter what they did, but I think as we get to this point in this season, when we had 7 episodes last season and 6 episodes this season, in my opinion, it's becoming more obvious than ever that we needed more freaking episodes to tell the story that they wanted to tell. Even if we accept all the stupid writing points that have been made in decisions, for our characters to reach certain points in the story that they have gotten to, you would have needed more episodes to get them there, David. For Dany to have this kind of heel turn, there should have been a little bit more foreshadowing. So, David, just in general, what are your thoughts on this season and this episode? I know you have some intense feelings about this particular episode.
Oh, God. Dude, it's like I wanted to talk about it so badly that I just completely blanked. But this season, in terms of a writing standpoint, has been a fucking atrocity. Like, it has been, like, it's kind of watching somebody shoot somebody in the foot, then the knee, then the chest, then the neck, then the face. You know what I mean? And we're almost to the head. We're almost up there. This last episode was a shot to the neck, and you can't deny it because, there's 1 episode fucking left of the show, dude. There's 1 episode left, and it is like, how in the fuck could you possibly tell that in an hour and 20 minutes? I was hoping that this last episode they were going to go, surprise, it's 4 hours long, and go, oh, thank fucking God.
Welcome.
Thanks for saving it, Dan and Dave, but of course not.
Welcome to Dances with Wolves of Thrones here and stuff. It's going to be like a 10-hour movie or something. I just want to say one thing in the live chat. Dany had the biggest heel turn than Hulk Hogan going to Hollywood Hulk Hogan in the WCW.
I haven't seen a badass episode like that since I saw Mankind throw Hell in the Cell off the Spanish announcer's table.
And Freddie says, personally, Tyrion and Jaime made up from episode 5. I don't care anything else that happened. I'll take my small character moments over anything else. And I gotta say, I did enjoy Tyrion and Jaime's interaction in the episode. I thought that was the high point. Someone else said this, and I'm repeating it. So someone said this to me in a conversation off air. But those actors, the acting has been really good this season of Game of Thrones. If we want to talk about the things that have been good, I think the cinematography has looked good. I think for the most part, the computer generated stuff that they've been doing is looking pretty good. I think and I think the acting performances, the actors have been doing what they can with these storylines that they want. And I think a lot of points David and I like to talk about this crap, or I like to bring this shit up when David's here, but so much an important moment in acting when you get a performance, it's the moment before. You think about, what was my character doing the moment before I was in this time to be able to make a decision in a proper way that balances out who you are as a character. And I think a lot of these actors are having problems, and you hear a lot of interviews with them before the season started, and when they're talking about how this ended, and when you hear Emil Clark say things like, yeah, I don't know about this, I don't know about my performance this year, it's part of it is because I think they feel unmotivated by some of their actions because they don't know what their freaking moment before to get into this thing is. They just don't have it. It's like, oh yeah, no, Dany's angry now, she burns everyone. No, what was that second before she makes that decision? What was going through her mind? We needed to know that we need to see, and I'm one that believes that some of this was littered throughout, but it was so half-ass littered for that big of a heel turn. For everything we know about Dany, she doesn't want to kill innocents.
Yeah, I mean, guy, yes to the people who have said, like, dude, they've been setting this up since, like, season 2. How could you fucking say that? Like, yeah, I get it. Ever since Sir Barristan Selmy joined Dany, they have been warning that, listen, people aren't bullshitting you about your dad. Your dad was crazy, and he laughed while people burned and screamed. And she's like, and she was listening to her advisors, and that was the thing keeping her in check. However, do not act like this makes any fucking sense in terms of what we have seen this season. I mean, these last 2 episodes, every character became a different person.
Yeah.
Every single character. Jon only says 4 things. He's like, pull the Jon Snow doll, and it says,
my queen.
You're my queen.
My queen. My queen.
You are my queen. I don't know what else to say. The North. The South. East and West.
And a couple of people said this in the live chat. I'm not normally a fan of Emilia Clarke, but she's killed it this season. I agree. I think this is some of her best work in a very difficult situation. And that's what I want to make clear. All the hate that's coming at the show right now, I think it all comes down to pacing, and it comes down to writing and how these stories have been broken. And I don't think it has a lot to do with the crew that has been killing it. And you see those behind the scenes stuff about how they're shooting shit, and I'm impressed by all that stuff. All the extras keep killing it, all the actors keep killing it. Like, all that stuff works really well this season. I think production wise, you can see the time that they took, at least in my opinion. But writing-wise, it just seems like this was written in an afternoon. They took whatever George told them, and they tried to figure out the easiest path between all of those things. We don't need to motivate this for several seasons. We don't have to have a 10-episode arc that leads Dany to make a decision like that in episode 9, where you have it just going, even if you do it all in one season, and you have her the minute she steps over in Westeros, everything, all in all, it's just another brick in the wall, and you see it building over the season. Instead, you just yada-yada'd it. You yada-yada'd most of the important things in this season. And again, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it a lot more than some people. And this goes to the other factor I wanted to bring up, that there's some other element of Game of Thrones this season that is also... Imagine you're dating a girl, right? You're dating a girl and all your friends are nice to her. Oh, she's very nice. She's very nice. And then the minute you break up with her, the minute something bad happens in your relationship, they're all like, she sucks. She sucks. And there is some of that going on with Game of Thrones too, that some people have been unhappy since season 5 and like really unhappy. And then they're like, yeah, see, I've been telling you it's shit. It's shit. It's shit. It's shit. And there's a little, that level of intensity is a little crazy too. I'm generally... think it's not the best it's ever been, but I'm still enjoying the ride, if that makes sense, David.
Yeah.
I know you might not be, or not everyone is. I'm not telling you not to, but I'm in the car. I'm gonna try to listen to some good music while I'm going on. Alcohol helps. Alcohol has helped this season a lot.
Yeah, see, here's the thing. That might be the key difference, because I've watched this as sober as a judge, all right? And listen, like Big J, who calls into the show, and Joe and you, it's like, if you're drinking or if you're high while watching it, good for you. You'll enjoy it more than I will. But I'm a cheap bastard. I don't want to buy myself booze or pot, even though it's readily available. However, here's the thing. It's like, oh my God, the show and The Walking Dead, they both fell into the same like plot hole where they just either the fucking showrunners set a character they think forgot one of the main parts of the show didn't happen.
Yeah, just forgot Euron stopped her. She just forgot.
That's like them saying just like, yeah, like that one guy, like, was it David Benioff or whatever? He's just like, yeah, I think she might have forgotten that her dad was the Mad King. It's like, shut the fuck, what the fuck are you saying right now? She forgot about Jon Snow, so she started lighting the streets on fire. What?
Top Loaded Gaming says, Phil, you're inside a car where someone farted, and you're trying not to pretend someone farted. Fair. Very fair. And Joseph, yeah. I'm no big city lawyer, but I agree.
Yeah, where was Big City Lawyer in this episode? Yeah. He was a glorified extra.
I'm no big city lawyer, but I done my job for the season. I'm collecting my pay, David.
Listen, I don't know much about fire, but I know that any little girl with a little wooden horse, she's gonna burn alive. It's a goddamn guarantee.
Noreen says, I miss The Walking David so much. The earlier season.
I'm here though.
Yeah, I miss you. I miss you while you're here too, David. The earlier seasons 1 through 4 were so good. I thought less episodes would be good, more money, same quality. But no, the story is chasing. Says Cats of Saturn. Hey everyone. But I think even the people that are defending the show right now, or defending their enjoyment of it, can't argue with the things that the people that are breaking the show apart are saying. It's because every point that everyone's making is true. I can't sit here and tell you. The only thing I will argue about. And I think I lost a viewer because of it, because someone called in or someone left a super chat, I forget what it was, saying that this show is the same thing as The Walking Dead. And I said, no, I think I played the blow up message. I blew them up. I had the Hound call them a cunt or something.
Talker.
Yeah. This is about me. This is me.
Makes me thirsty.
But
if any more words come pouring out your cunt mouth.
Okay, that's about me right now, okay? But I said that to a call because they said it was like The Walking Dead. The only thing I'm saying about that is perspective. The Walking Dead at its best wasn't as good of a show, and I like The Walking Dead at its best. And at its worst is way worse of a show. They fall in some of the similar traps, but the acting on The Walking Dead at this point, if you're watching it now, is a total pile of shit. The cinematography's gone downhill. Some of the special effects have gone downhill. Game of Thrones, everything but the writing is still top notch, I would say. And I would say some of the production stuff's even gotten better.
You know, here's the thing. I'll give The Walking Dead this, and it's only until the last season that The Walking Dead pulled ahead of Game of Thrones in terms of at least we see people riding a fucking horse somewhere and taking time to get somewhere. Like, this is like Batman v Superman level of Metropolis and Gotham are across the bay from each other. It's like they fucking weren't 2 seconds ago. That's sort of like saying, hey, I get that I'm in Southern California, but Canada is just as close as Arizona is.
Why are you saying
Martha? No, it fucking isn't.
Why are you saying Martha? Brah.
Yeah, my mother's name is Martha. But I'm no big city Martha.
Yeah.
But
I like that. I'm no big city Martha. This season is awesome if you compare it to The Walking Dead or some CW show, says Broke. Mr. Dong says, I agree with you, Phil. I tried my best to defend the show after the first few episodes. Hard to do now. And it's very, very, it's so hard now. Talking to David makes me very hard. Joe was right the other night when he said D&D checked out a couple of seasons. The last stream I had with Cadigan Fandom, David came on and we bitched about The Walking Dead for like an hour. It was quite therapeutic, says Lindsay. And our expectations were certainly subverted this season, but not in a good way, like the Red Wedding. Things actually have to make sense. And Marina says, all of these plot twists and character turns are happening way too quick for us to actually care or even process what is happening. And that is why, I'm going to pass right over to you, David, that's why I consider this season almost like a Michael Bay movie, because the same kind of thing is happening. Things happen so quick, and then before you know it, or like one of those disaster movies that are chock full of tons of stars, and you're like, oh, wow, awesome. I'm just using an example. Rob Lowe's in this movie. Oh, I love Rob Lowe. He's funny. He's a funny, talented dude. Oh, he's dead. Okay, didn't really get to know his character. Don't really care. Okay. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Meg Ryan. Oh, before she did that shit to her face, I love Meg Ryan. Oh my God, she's awesome. Oh, okay. Bye, Meg Ryan.
You know, I don't know how I transfer from Meg Ryan.
Oh, sorry about that.
Here we go. Here we go. See, this is the main point that I really wanted to address, and I'll try to say it as clearly as I can, because I know I ramble. But never and on shows that we were really enjoying, when Game of Thrones, I got into it kind of late. I'll be honest. Like the 6th season was about to come out, and my friend Alec had given me all the first 5 seasons, like torrents of them, and I binge watched it in like 3 weeks. Was a diehard fan by the end. Okay, so I was ready for season 6, and it was just about to come out. And I've got to say, after season 6, I was still a really big fan. But then once season 7 started and all of these problems started to arise, I have never seen more people who are not writers, who are not actors in the entertainment industry in any regard. They are just commenters on videos, tearing apart the writers and the story. When you are really invested in a story, you don't give a shit about the writing because it's seamless.
Yeah, you don't
just
think
like
about it.
editing is seamless. That's why these last few seasons have been so bad that even people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about know that it's bad.
Yeah.
Okay, they don't know anything about how editing works, how much effort goes into it, how much CGI costs, how much acting it takes. I mean, they know nothing, and yet they are now like the experts on the internet as to how bad this show is.
Yeah.
And it's because, like, I mean, look at Breaking Bad or Sopranos. You watch it and you're just enthralled in the story.
You don't think about it. You look at it almost like a magic thing that the team's doing. You're like, oh yeah, David Chase does it all, because you don't really know. You don't care. You don't care.
You don't care how you get there. It's like, it's the Patton Oswalt reference. It's like, it's the George Lucas problem. Quit telling me about how the things I love became the things I love. Just let me love it.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm a true fan of anything, I am not worried about the writers making bad decisions. Like, the fact that there are 12-year-olds going, now why would the writers of this show have Bran just be sitting there and not doing anything? He just warged into ravens? Like, how fucking gay is that? Like, why are 12-year-olds able to pull apart your show? And they're right. And they don't even know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah, you're so right. Writing is one of those things that people really shouldn't think about. It should just be subliminal going through there. It's just not something you focus on. For the most part, John Q. Public, watching a show, watches the actors and only knows about the actors. And it comes to a point where people it happens with bands too. When bands start smelling their own farts too much, and they stop writing songs just for themselves or for fun, and they start writing songs that they think people want to hear, or this band is this kind of band, we need to write songs this way. And it's almost like Game of Thrones in this last couple of, that's where the people that complain about it sometimes will call it fan fiction or something, because even as you said, to 12-year-olds or people watching it, people go, oh, it doesn't quite, I smell bullshit there. There's something that you can call bullshit. Someone says you call that a rant. I watched Joe Dirty Looks. That was a good rant. We'll give David quick.
I was trying to stay on point. If I did the Joe thing, I'd be going off on expletive central. I just wouldn't even come back.
And suddenly you'd be talking about random things like the like how much you hate the person.
This fucking dude is over there, and then Arya comes out. I don't fucking win, and just jumps on his back, and this guy is jerking me off with that guy's hands, and you're like, what the fuck?
You're like, this man.
I love Joe to death. I swear to God. Like, I told Phil and Joe that these last few reviews that they have done, I have just been listening to every second, because I'm just like, it's so good.
Joe is in the. I have to say, most of the questions that we have for this week is how can you get Joe to be like he was last week every week. So yeah, Joe was in a rare mood the other night. I like when Joe comes into the show at the beginning already buzzed and he's screaming, and
Yeah.
And I sort of did the wrong thing to him during the day, because he came over earlier in the day and we were talking about how much he's like, the season has problems, but blah 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 XYZ. It's I'm kind of feeling it. I don't really feel like I want to rant about it. And then I just sort of bad Jiminy cricketed in his ear, and I was like, but Dan and Dave, I showed them this article about how they could have had as many episodes as they want, like all this sort of shit. And Joe's just like, I could see the look in his face, like, okay. He was waiting. He was absolutely waiting. Okay.
This whole season so far, especially this last episode, I mean, as we'll get into, it is just rant-inducing. I have heard so many people who've never lost their cool about any show lose their fucking shit over this.
No.
And
yeah. No, I cannot. It's crazy, and it's crazy in the best possible way. And I love how intense people are into Game of Thrones right now. I just feel gypped that it's not the best season of Game of Thrones for this final run, and where everyone's eyes on it. So this will be the lasting memory for a lot of the the mainstream aspect of it, which I know doesn't really matter, but it does matter in some weird level. And the fact that it's just, they have everyone in the palm of their hand right now, and they had a chance to stick the landing in a really intense way. And I'm not sure if they're going to, at this point, it does not look like they're going to do it. And it's that I feel like Jerry Seinfeld. That's a shame. And that's a shame. So let's listen to our first voicemail message of the day. I believe this is from Brainwashed. And speaking of Brainwashed, I had one other point I wanted to make, but I was brainwashed right there. My head hit the wall, and I was like, what was I gonna say? I forget. I poop at parties. I do too. I was just talking about poop before the show started with David. No lie, we were having a very intense poop conversation. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
Hey Phil, Brainwashed here. So dude, I'm so disappointed with my girl Dany. Come on, why did you have to kill all those innocents? Why? Because they killed Missandei in a war? Because they killed Jorah in a war? He's a fucking hero, man. Why? Because the fucking spider tried to betray you? He tried to betray you as well a few seasons back. Okay, you got him, you executed him, that's fine. You heard the fucking bells, man. Why did you have to execute? Why did you have to burn down the fucking city, dude? Come on, seriously. What can I say? So, I guess Dany has to die, or Dany's gonna become the new tyrant. But I'm sure she's gonna die. So, faceless assassin Arya will probably kill Grey Worm and infiltrate her.
Okay, cut off, play the rest of the message.
So, as I was saying, I predict that maybe Arya's gonna kill Grey Worm and infiltrate her personal guard as Grey Worm and go kill her. Or Stark kids unite in some crazy Littlefinger trial repeat scenario. I don't know. But anyhow, it's the last episode of Game of Thrones, and I'm sure we're all gonna miss this show, and especially we're gonna miss the fun times we've had on the motherfucking chat. Have a great show.
Well, you guys make sure that even after Game of Thrones, you stick with us for podcasts and silliness in the motherfucking chat, and we will definitely be talking about the prequel series and all tons of other shows that we babble about as well. So good ones and bad ones. So David, a couple things there. We can talk all about, and we're going to continue to talk about some of the poor writing decisions and all of that. So, but if we're trying to put this together in some way of even projecting our own character motivations on people, what the hell was Dany thinking? What the hell was she thinking? How can we resign our head around there? Someone joked that the bells triggered something, that she has a Pavlovian dog response to the bells, and that caused her to go like Cujo and go all attack mode. Is that it?
Good joke.
Yeah. What was the rationalization? Do you have anything? Do you have anything for this one?
Not without them putting it like in Bran's. I would have put, before she did it, to justify it more, even though it's completely out of left fucking field when you've already won, other than to just like, some people are like, well, maybe she was pumped up because of the battle, energy, the energy of the battle. She was still like battle hungry. And I go, and that's a fucking excuse? I ate myself to death because I was really hungry earlier. Yeah. It's like that what? Just eat till you're full and then stop. It's like she was full and she just kept going. But here's the thing. I would have put Bran style flashes of everybody who's ever died under her reign that she cared about. So I would have had flash of Jorah, flash of Missandei, flash of, Sir Barristan Selmy, flash of this, flash of that, Meereen, the tower falling off. And then have her go. Yeah. Like it all hit her at once. And then she goes, what? And then freaks out.
You make a good point. And it seemed that the best motivation that they did to push Dany making this mistake was done in the scenes from last week. When they did the preview coming into the episode, they felt like that did everything you said there, what should have been in an episode, just in case, because not everyone watches it live or watches scenes from last week. And what they did was they showed her face, and they played different characters saying things to her, like Lady Olenna, someone else, a few other people.
Be a dragon.
Yeah, that line and all that sort of stuff. But instead of doing it in the episode where it would make sense in a moment, they did it in the preview, and they said, "Oh yeah, we did it. People will remember." That's okay. Hey, you know what we can do? We can add another scene in there of some stupid shit, and we'll put that in the preview from last week. And so she has a motivation. It works.
Hey, how about we have Duck Face Hot Topic, the guy with the spear. And we have him. We have a guy. He was like a slave, right? So let's have him as a slave stabbing soldiers, because that makes sense. And then we're also gonna have her rescuing a city by burning it.
Dude.
And then we're gonna have seasons of Cersei ruling the King's Landing and blowing up the Sept, just to have her get hit by a brick. And then we're gonna have
I got a great idea. That's very good, but I got one more thing. Let's have Arya meet this people in the crowd, and the kids holding a fucking little white horse. And then later, when Arya wakes up, is like the only person alive, and all
does she get on a fucking white horse?
She gets on a fucking white horse, dude.
She got on a fucking white horse,
dude. I can't believe we're doing Star Wars. Yo, we're gonna have so much fun with Star Wars.
Dude, it's gonna be great. All of a sudden, you're gonna see some guy go, and then a saber's gonna hit him. Fucking forget it. It's done.
And then we'll pack a great Aaron Rodgers and stick him in there somewhere, because people like Aaron Rodgers, right?
Listen, if we can't get rid of the pigeons on this island, we'll make them porgs and we'll put them in the movie. We'll make them a main part of the movie all of a sudden. I
think we're fucking onto something, dude. Okay, so I just want to say a couple of things in this live chat. I didn't hear no damn bells in the Rocky voice. Dracarys. What's up, everybody? Dany didn't hear no bells. Dany went like mad. Carrie snapped at the prom. It's not hard for me to believe. It's to understand Dany's moment. I think, fuck that. Go back to her head before she lost her dragon. How did she make such a bonehead mistake? How did she not see the ships? Attacking all the people made zero sense. It would have made more sense if she went straight to the Red Keep, destroyed Cersei and all of her guards despite them surrendering. That's what I thought she was going to do there. Why do you kill? Grumpy old man says, why do you kill everyone in the house? Answer, because they were home. That's of course. People go mad for less. People get crazy when they don't get that call back after a date. Did he discount double check? Dany is so extra, says Audrey. And wait, you guys started already? Yes, we're live, Tubbs. And Dany said she was going to do. Dany said what she was going to do a season ago. When my dragons are full grown, we're going to take back what was stolen from me. We'll lay waste to armies and burn cities to the ground. Marina says, also, Euron facing Jaime was stupid. They have no history besides fucking the same woman. And at this point, it was clear that Cersei was losing, and I don't see Euron sticking around after that. I'm no big city lawyer, but I didn't hear no bells. Okay, so let's go to another voicemail. And
I'm just imagining Euron swimming a wave of plot convenience all the way over to fucking Jaime just to have a discussion with him.
This is a message from our good buddy Antoine Thomas.
Hey, Phil. Hey, Walking David. Welcome to the show. But nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I was wondering, Phil, can you do right now a eulogy of Marjorie Tyrell? Because we've seen the Jaime Lannister one, but we never did one of Marjorie. And I know a lot of people was wondering why Marjorie
we had a little bit of a disconnect on your phone.
Never had a eulogy when she was the most popular one.
Okay, so asking about Marjorie, could we give a eulogy to Marjorie because she didn't get a proper one? Give me a time on that. I'll do that for the next feedback show, Antoine. I need a little time to think about that, but I do appreciate it. Antoine also sent me some lovely pictures of Marjorie in the text message too. So thank you for that, Antoine. We will be looking at those later. So Yara was a no-go in the end. I'm sad and angry, says Kattegat. The brick that was promised that killed Cersei. The brick was someone's father. You know,
The brick
I mean, with
that
someone's brother,
promised.
with someone's younger brother.
Dude, I read something where somebody talked about the mountain, and they said, like, Qyburn goes, so, Sir Gregor, obey your queen. And it said, Bricaris.
I like that. Oh my goodness. I want to get IC Fury's joke correct. He said something like there was a new drink formed in that moment too, a Qyburn wallbanger.
There you go.
That's a good one. I think I said that right. Correct me if I'm wrong, if I see Fury. Okay, so area code 985. Some of these messages might be for the other evening, so we might get one, Joe, you're fucking crazy, but we'll see what we got. This is area code 985.
Yo, Phil, Joe, Katie, in the fucking chat. And any guest that might be there. Rewatched the episode for the 5th time, believe it or not. This is Weiss and David Granger, aka Draven. And I realized something. I went back and started watching the old episodes. What we saw with Dany, some people were calling it a character assassination, but I was looking at it, and they were planting the seeds from the very first season about her anger and rage and how she reacts to betrayal, hence the, where are my dragons, insanity she had. And I don't think she's crazy. I think she's got her own way of doing things.
Yeah.
What I'm curious about, though, is everybody called the Game of Thrones.
I just want to pause there and I'll play the rest of the message. I agree. I think crazy is an easy way to just throw it. I think she made a choice. I think when we hear her talk in episode 6, I think we're going to hear that it wasn't she got overwhelmed by an emotion. It was for whatever it's worth a rational decision to say, "No, fuck that. I'm making a choice here and I'm choosing to burn everybody." Whether that's the bad decision or not, I think it is. I think they have littered it, but I think the problem people are having is the choice she made not to go do what basically David said. Would right after she did everything in this episode, like it laid up to where the bells rang, and then instead of going to burn random innocent people, she goes right for the Red Keep and then burns the fucking thing down to the ground with Cersei on top of it or whatever. Everything that we see at the end part where she flies. In fact, that's what I thought they were going to do. I thought they were going to do something equally as cheesy, but cheesy. And David, I will play the rest of your message. When they do that moment after the bells ring, when you focus on Cersei, then you see Dany on back of Drogon, and it makes it look like you see, like they do this in movies and television shows all the time, where the two characters can see each other, make eye contact over hundreds of, like thousands of feet. Yeah. They're looking at each other and they're having a moment with each other. And then exactly. And then I thought Dany was just going to fly straight and it was going to be like a static shot from Cersei's perspective with the dragon getting closer, and then suddenly being right at the window and like blowing fire in there or something like that. And it was going to be, and then she was just going to take everything down and take down the Red Keep and then fly out of there. I didn't realize she was going to grid kill the people in Flea Bottom and like just go through every point of the city and make sure she doesn't miss a spot. Like she was mowing a lawn. You got to get every spot. She was making sure she was mowing that lawn. So I think that's the step too far. It wasn't her motivating to go all flame on in that moment. It's the flame on the innocent people. I think every moment that they've shown her go crazy with going fire happy, it's always for a reason, because she doesn't get what she wants, to prove a point, to see fuck you. And I think that would make sense for her to kill Cersei there. It still doesn't make sense for the person that we've known for, in my opinion, for 7.5 seasons now, or 7 9/10 of a season, or 5/6 of a season, that would burn people the way she did. That seems, it's a step too far for me, in the sense of not the show making that choice, but for it to reflect who the character actually is. I don't know. So yeah. I know, and someone said this before. Justin, I think in the live chat, said this. I hate complaining this much. I wish I liked it, and I feel you there. I wish I could argue with people and be like, no, it's awesome, fuck you. But it's just it's a straw man argument. I can't do it. I can say I'm having fun, which I am. Maybe I have television Stockholm syndrome a little bit, but that's okay. But I can say I'm having fun watching it and not like hate watching it, or not watching and being like, oh shit, every week. But I can't argue with those points that people are making.
This episode made me want to headbutt my fucking television screen. Like, it there's so much of it that's so fucking stupid. I've got to say this, like this. We're talking about episode 5, and I'll try to stick to that, but I haven't gotten a chance to say this yet. I was one of the few people I was like, yeah, cut fucking Missandei's head off. And, well, you know what? Capture both her and Grey Worm, and in one fell swoop in both of those storylines. Because this whole, like, Grey Worm going and attacking in the city, everyone's like, man, he looked like a fucking badass. Grey Worm's going crazy. He's going mad Grey Worm, or whatever the fuck people are saying. And you're like, you know what? He's one of the most boring characters in all of television. For all of you people who think I'm just a misogynistic asshole who just shits on the lady characters, let's focus on how much Grey Worm sucks. He said 50 lines in the entire show and has existed since season 2. It's like he might even have less lines than Gilly. I mean, honestly, the Grey Worm storyline and seeing him with Missandei, it was equally as stupid as Gilly reading the actual heritage of Jon Snow.
I agree. I think it was such a waste of time. Yes, Phil, I thought she was going to make a beeline for Cersei and burn her at the Red Keep. I thought that would have been at least a fun visual. The behind-the-scenes work was beautiful. Cinematography was beautiful. Saskatagate sound effects, CGI, plotting and writing just sucks. Utter shit. Mad Worm, says Peter Griffin, to reflect what David says. Well, I can safely say after this, Breaking Bad was better, says Top Load Gaming. Cynthia... I did it again. Lindsay, it's been a while since I called you Cynthia. Cynical Lindsay says, I feel you, dude. I really wanted to like this episode. I really wanted to like this whole season. I really, really did. The foreshadowing of her going mad in the early seasons isn't the same as character development, and all of her development has shown her striving to be the opposite of her father, says Marina. And Ren just wants to add, don't forget that Dany Mercy killed, quote unquote, Khal Drogo. She is made of Valyrian steel and crazy mad. And I think we had a question for David up here. At the Walking David, what do you think now that Jaime's dead? Why did Bran say that Jaime would do something important in the war to come? What do you reckon it was to knight Brienne?
I think Jaime forgot that he had something important to do, so he just died instead.
I think you're onto something. I actually
fucking idiots. Like, stop defending this crap. I love this fucking show. Loved. It's like an abusive relationship. Yeah, the show hits me. Yeah, it buys me flowers.
It'll be better.
Afterward.
It's going to be better, David. It's going to treat you better next week.
You know what? Fine. One more episode and I'm done. Okay? Fine. One more episode. I'll give him one more chance.
You can go back to,
and I'm done.
You can go back to regretting that name choice as The Walking Dead.
No fucking shit. Nobody should know more than me. My whole channel... This might as well be called like imagine if your channel was called Phil I Love Game of Thrones.
David, don't you dare rename your channel like the Breaking David or something like that, or
it's gonna be the Crying David after this fucking season finale,
or Better Call David or something. I'll be very
Better Call David. There you go.
I'll be very
no, it's gonna be Breaking David. There we go.
Yeah, Breaking David.
Actually, that works.
Breaking David would work, but that's beside the point. Don't do that. And then the Breaking Bad movie's gonna no, it's not. I trust Vince Gilligan. Okay, here we go.
Everybody forgets that the Song of Ice and Fire. Well, we saw what Ice was doing with the White Walkers, and now I believe we just witnessed fire. I think we saw both the good and bad and the evil of both sides of that coin, and I think it's going to be the harmony of what comes after to try to fix the realm. Hopefully, everything works out fine. My personal opinion on things, I'm hoping things don't go too crazy, but what I'm really hoping we don't get, and I haven't read anything online or anything, but I'm hoping what we don't get is a situation where Jon does something stupid or, does something dumb or just decides to leave and take the black. And then the last few minutes we get before the screen goes black for the season, the end, is Jon finding some of Tormund's people ripped up and a damn pattern from the Night King.
And the Night King's back again.
Oh. That would be terrible. It'll wait to go into a new miniseries or whatever, but yeah, I'd love to hear y'all thoughts and everything. I'm just kind of curious where this is going. I don't think it's too predictable in some ways, and I think some things are, and I think Dan and Dave are banking on that right now. So I'm just here for the ride. But yeah, y'all have a great show. I'll be tuning in, so hope y'all have a good one.
Good, awesome call. And David, just to stare this to a question in there, because a lot of good stuff. two parts, I guess. What is the worst way this could end for you at this point? Could it get worse for you at this point in a certain ending? And what is the possible best way or could it get better? Could they make it up to you? Could your abusive lover fuck you really good one last time and leave you with a good feeling?
Probably not. I think they kind of. I think there's a reason why people are so mad about this particular episode is because they realize how fucked the last episode has to be.
Yeah.
To make any kind of sense, and I think it's sort of people. They're grieving now. It's a process in grieving where you, as somebody is dying, or as something is dying, you start to grieve ahead of time so that when it finally hits, it doesn't hurt so much. And that's why I think this episode is really hitting so hard with people, is because they're starting their grieving process an episode early. Like a lot of people, even if they did have 10 episodes, if this was the story that they went with, the exact same thing so far, I think you would have lost a significant number of people. I don't think a lot of people would have tuned in for episode 6 or 7 or 8 if you had 10 episodes in the season. I don't think they would. I think it can get worse. I really do think it can get worse, because here's the thing. I didn't think it could get this bad. So anything's possible.
Yeah.
With Dumb and Dumber at the fucking wheel, there is that like, just when I think you couldn't get any dumber, you go out and do something.
Yeah,
like
be
careful.
careful.
None
David.
of those.
Be careful.
It's not happening. Yeah.
My stages of grief have been disappointment and then indifference. Garnett says I'm so sick of Arya. Someone else above said Arya's just been overplayed this season way too much. And yeah, Arya's infuriating the last couple of seasons. I am totally with that perspective. It's tough. I mean, does she kill Dany? Do you think Arya is the one that ends up killing Daenerys?
If Arya kills Daenerys, then seriously, fuck you guys for making this show.
So is that the worst thing? Is that the worst one?
That's the ultimate misdirect, is that the whole person, Jon Snow, who this has been about, or Dany, if you have Arya get the Night King and Dany and anybody else, it's like, this is like, oh my fucking god, dude. God damn it. This is so fucked. You understand what you guys did? Like, in the middle of these episodes, you're wasting fucking time on her saving some little shit kid on the streets of don't you play the sad music? But it does make me sad. I feel bad for people who've been so invested in this. Yeah, cue it up and then bring it to me.
Sorry, David.
Fuck, I don't even remember what I'm saying.
Oh, I'm such an asshole.
Yeah, I think it can get worse. I hope that they don't have, like, Grey Worm sits on the Iron Throne because he killed his way to the top. And somebody says some bullshit line like, well, you are a leader. And sometimes people who don't want to lead make the best leaders. And doesn't want to be the king of Westeros. Or have, like, Tyrion sit on the Iron Throne and be like, the Imp King. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, they are leaving it so open-ended because these people are too fucking afraid to kill valuable people until this episode, in which they kill everybody who had any kind of arc and storyline that was 3/4 completed. They killed everybody with a 3/4 completed story arc.
Do you think Dany will kill Sansa? No, I don't think Dany will get close enough. I think she'll threaten to kill Sansa. I think that's what she's going to talk shit after all of that happens. She's going to be like, yeah, and if the North wants to betray me or the North wants to talk shit about me, I'll do the same thing to the North. She's going to use this as that thing, they say, like when you punch the biggest person in a situation to prove how tough you are. She's like, I fuck King's Landing now. I'll fuck everything. I don't give a fuck. But
like, what's the point of this fucking show anymore, dude? Like, that's what I don't get. And you did all of this skipping, and John's in fucking Westeros in half a day, even though they said it's going to take 2 weeks, even though the first season it took 2 months. It's like, get fucked, you guys. You can't even have one person going like, if the winds are kind, you might get there quick. Like, you guys you should have your WGA card fucking revoked.
And I like the various scenes in the previous episode. Arya remember the pic of Winterfell burning it leaked 2 years ago. That can still happen. Sansa on the throne. People saying Dan and Dave want to hammer home that excessive power and war are shitty, but the messages get lost if the character development is abandoned. Absolutely good stuff. John's character was butchered, says Cadget as well. So let's listen to, let's take a couple of text messages, and then we have more voicemails as well. 949 says, yo, Phil, I'm 100% behind Dany. She went north and lost 2 of her children, half her forces, Missandei and Jorah, because she loved Jon, and then he can't even communicate that he's at least needs time to work out the relationship. Bro. And then every piece of advice Tyrion has given her recently has ended up with her losing love and losing her position. Fuck his Bell's plan. Fuck King's Landing. These people were running in fear instead of cheering her arrival. Burn them all. Let it be fear. Now, I absolutely hear everything you're saying. I definitely hear the humor there as well. But to take it for face value, I agree with everything you're saying if we're going to examine this as, a character decision, except for burning all the people. I think she should have gone and burned down the Red Keep, not caring if people died in its wake, but not making a point to burn every single person. Just that we haven't saw that. If we had Dany at one point in Marine, even, or a couple points in Marine, be like, I want to kill everybody in Marine. I'm going to kill every fucking harpy and burn them all. And I'm going to get in there and or let my dragons out and kill people. But for the most part, she tried to handle all those situations pretty measured and listened to a lot of advice and kind of thought about the people and blah, blah, blah. So it's just hard for me to go, but yeah, fuck them. Burn them all. I'm with you.
Even the actors and these videos that have been getting put in the beginning of every 10-minute review of the last episode, even the actors can't bullshit out of this.
Yeah.
Thankfully, that last paycheck cleared, and all of them are like, disappointing. Really sucks. Best season ever. Everybody's seen that clip of Amelia Clark going, best season ever.
Pink Lash has a good point, and I think I think you're right, David. You're cracking me up today. Dan and Dave tried to give the feel of the books because the books don't give your favorite characters what they want either. They did try, but again, it's like if my junior high school cousin's rock band tries to play Zeppelin songs. They're really trying, but they're not quite pulling it off. But I mean, they really love Zeppelin. Like, they really love Zeppelin. I believe these guys, really like A Song of Ice and Fire, and they generally understand some of the tenets of what George is trying to tell. But they just, again, everything. It's when you're in a hurry trying to do something, you're not going to do it well. And I think it's painfully obvious that since season 4, and I think season 4 was still really good, but since season 4, these guys have been in the hurry to move on. I've said it before, I'll say it again. All they really envisioned in this series was writing it and working it up until the point of the Red Wedding. They say this a lot. They've said this a lot. Like, all we really saw, and when we asked for this project, all we really thought about was how amazing would it be to be the guys behind putting the Red Wedding television show episode on TV. And I think after that point, there's no better expression. They shot their wad, and they've never had a refractory period where they re-get their erection again for this show. And they try to pretend that they still want to fuck us for a couple of years, but now at this point they're like, yeah, I'm so done with you. I can't wait till the divorce papers are signed. And it's coming through. And no, they're not George R. R. Martin, but they were really good television makers at a point in time when they had something to work off of and they gave a shit. And if one of those two things were still the case, if they still gave a shit, the fact that they didn't have everything, they could go to George and be like, could you take a look at our scripts this year and see, make us a couple of choices, and then we can bring it back into the writer's room and have like a quality control thing. I know it's like, leave George alone. He's writing the books. But no, give the script to George and let him advise on every script about the shit that he's not a part of if he doesn't have a book. So he can write a script and go, I approve of this. I don't approve of this. He should have got story rights for seasons 5 through 8. Because the books weren't out yet, and I mean, part of 5, I guess that stuff was in the books. But at least
he withheld. He is withholding. I firmly believe the reason he has not released this is because for these last 2 years, he's also been writing the book for those last 2 years. He is withholding it because he knows that if he had given one of those books, they would have taken that stuff and they would have fucked it up. Yeah. Okay, they absolutely would have done it because he saw that they were losing interest, like you said, years ago. And he's like, you know what? I'm not going to give these people the ending of my story, which I really love, and I don't want people comparing a shit show that the own writers don't even give a fuck about, and have it affect my books.
Yeah.
Because I'm the one who's the storyteller here. I'm the one who has all the great ideas.
And this is tough, David, because I am a happy troll, so it's difficult to go this far with this. But we complained about this a while. We've seen this coming, and it's ignorant not to mention it and not to talk about what's going on right here. And most of the questions that we have are variations of this. This is a feedback show. This is what you guys want to talk about. And there's a lot of that stuff going on. But I do want to bring a couple of points back to the episode and to the topics of the show, especially what Broke's been saying in there. He just wants to make it clear that Cersei killed less people than Dany. And if Cersei could have sex and still want to kill people afterwards, Dany could sleep with Jon and still burn King's Landing. Fandom facts. Facts going on right there. And I love, After Hours Comics, great to see you. I can agree with that. Think about it. I don't think they fucked it up. It's a show. Books have a luxury to elaborate more. Going to space would subvert expectations, would be dumb as fuck. Okay, I see the ending now. John's going to stab Dany with his dick and then stab her with his sword. The end. I agree with The Walking David. He gave up on D&D a long time ago and wasn't going to give them any more to ruin his stories. I fucking hate this now. I'm going to read the books, says Tommy. I remember when Stannis burned down his own kid. The good old days when he was Father of the Year. Yeah, Game of Thrones gone downhill since season 5. The hate seems excessive. That's what I feel. I feel like there's some form of that too. I understand where David's talking about, and especially with the second to last episode, and I think that's where the hate comes from right now. May in the live chat. I think that's a good point. The show has been going downhill since season 5, and a lot of people have known it since season 5 and been on the board. But I think because of the limited episodes now, it's like at the end of the school year, you have 2 days left and time's running out and you have so much shit you need to get done. Or right before we did this podcast, my work day went a little bit longer and I was running late to meet David. And then I came in the house, I had to shove food down feed my cat, take my dog out, do 20 different things. And then on top of it all, I had to go to the bathroom. I had to poop. And then I was like, oh my God, I have to poop now too. And then David's downstairs waiting for me and I'm running upstairs pooping and I'm running downstairs. And then shit tends to pile up all at the same time. Freddie says, personally, I think George R. R. Martin finished the books a long time ago and he's just been waiting. Casey, Atheist, Phil, and The Walking David, greetings. I do, Edward. I talk a lot. It's quite ridiculous.
To use a musical example that I don't know if this is going to be a good one or not, but I think if they were singers, if Dan and David were singers, it's like they're both singers who are completely tone deaf. Now, to each other, they sound okay because they're both equally tone deaf. And then the fans keep trying to compromise in their head going, well, maybe if they sang a song that didn't require as much musical talent, they could sing it better. But it's but you're forgetting, tone deaf means that they are tone deaf in regards to everything, okay? So nothing they can do will be right because everything that they do is wrong, okay? So every decision they make, it's just, it leads to a dead end. They are painting themselves into a story corner, and there is no way out of this one. I mean, they are going to be covered with paint when this is all said and done because they have, and this corner must be small as fuck, dude. I mean, this has got to be some real prequels on the lava rocks lightsaber battle going on here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You were the chosen one.
Anakin, you should have done it. No, George is not, and I don't think George has finished the books either. Shit, I couldn't write the show, so I have to respect this. I do have to respect it too. So let's listen to another voicemail. We've got a couple of voicemails coming on in. This is from our good buddy Pat.
Hey, what's up, Phil? What's up, Dave? I like how the mother dragons went to shit on Mother's Day. That couldn't have been planned, man. If it was, then, whatever. But, all right, I'll talk to you guys later.
I don't think Game of Thrones ignores that type of stuff. They had Tyrion kill Tywin on Father's Day, so I would not doubt that. Good call from our good buddy. Listen to another voicemail from Karan.
All right, so when I called after the episode, The Bells or whatever it's called, I was angry because Daenerys went from 0 to 100. But Joe so eloquently mentioned that sometimes you can just snap and be angry. And I get that. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen that video, Joker, the story you never knew by the YouTuber Treesicle. It's a really good one. But she didn't just go like from 0 to just, okay, I'm gonna start wailing on some people. No, she went full crazy. I'm gonna burn everybody. It's something that she's never done ever. It still doesn't make sense. I'm sorry, Joe. Good effort trying to explain that, but nah, it's just terrible writing. You can't explain that away.
Yeah, we've talked about that. We don't have to bemused that point, but good call. And we got a few more voicemails here. It's from area code 985. Some of these, as I mentioned, were from the other evening. This is area code 985.
Yo, Phil, Katie, how's it going? Joe, motherfucking chat. This is David Granger, a.k.a. Dre.
Oh, I already put that message. This is area code 630.
Hi, Phil, and the special guest for the feedback show. This is Netta G, the Daria lover. So I wanted to call in with a message for the feedback show. A few things with this episode, since I had a couple of days to sit on it. This episode was really trash. The first one is Cersei and Jaime. I have a huge problem with Cersei being able to die the same way that all of the other innocent people in the streets died. She was not innocent for 7.5 years, so that was trash. Jaime being stabbed by Euron for no apparent reason, walking around for 2 and 3 hours until he found Cersei just to hold her, that was trash. So in my mind, Jaime's story ended in episode 4 when he rode off on a horse and never to be seen from again. That's the way I'm going to end his story. Tyrion was a dumbass this season and last season, but I'm fine with him being the way that he was in this episode. He wanted to ride out for his queen, which he did until the very end, having that faith in her. I love the scene with him and Jaime. That was perfect. Jon Snow is a side character in his own show. I don't understand, but I'm looking forward to seeing the fight between him and Grey Worm. Varys' death. Varys went out like G-Ma, Lady Olenna, like a G, so I'm cool with that, and he was right. One of the things that if you can feel free to discuss is D&D. This episode was so trash, and with all of the feedback that they've been getting since season 5, would they really want to have their names on the Star Wars? Like, is the Star Wars directors, producers, whoever's in charge of that is going to look at this and say, okay, we changed our minds? Like, to me, even if the story wasn't finished by GRRM, they should have had some type of outline as to how they were going to end the story. We needed more episodes, and we could have used 10 seasons of this show. So that's all I had to say. Thanks for taking the call. Talk to you later. Bye.
Yeah, great call. No, I don't have too much to add to that. I think the call speaks for herself. And awesome call as always.
Okay. Just real quick, we can do this in like 10 seconds. This is how short it's going to be.
Do it.
Hey, what did Euron do this episode, everybody? Nothing. Didn't do anything. What did Jaime do? Did he kill somebody? Or did he just go all the way to King's Landing for his last hug?
Well,
Nothing.
He killed Euron, but that's not really anything.
Yeah, well, Euron...
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. He did do that, so I guess that shoots it in the foot of Ted.
No,
that idea got hit on the head with a brick. Cersei stared out a window. Nothing. Arya saved somebody who is of no importance, and they died anyway.
Yep.
Nothing. Also went all the way to King's Landing to change her mind. Could have had that discussion in Winterfell. Went 1,000 miles to talk about it. Hound died in the process of killing the Mountain. Cleganebowl was better in the first season. Davos didn't say anything. Nothing.
I'm no biggest.
Jon, glorified extra. Nothing. Varys died, so nothing. Tyrion stared. Nothing. Grey Worm, who cares? Nothing. Every single one of them did fuck all in this episode. Every single fucking one. And you can try to justify it all you want, but they didn't do anything. They have had seasons where they have been doing something interesting in almost every episode that they have been featured in. But this is like they have so many people now that they didn't kill off at the right time, that they have spread themselves so thin that they can't include it all, so they have to combine it. Instead of having Jaime kill Euron and then having another episode where he kills Cersei, he has him get stabbed by Euron, not die, so that we can say they technically fought, then goes to Cersei, reunites with her, and gets a hug. So they got 3 things clustered together into one episode of fuckery. You know, like, Arya didn't take one face, didn't kill really anybody, as far as I saw. She didn't kill anybody. She didn't even use her fucking sword. She has a sword. She has a sword. Did you guys forget? Oh, maybe Arya forgot that she has a sword. Like, she has a fucking sword. She has a Valyrian steel dagger. None of this shit is being used in a siege of a town.
I bet that dagger's in the Arya Stark Museum at Winterfell. That's been the
Oh, you might be right. No, they forgot to install that museum.
Yeah. A couple of super chat donations from Jasmine. Thank you, Jasmine. People are forgetting that Cersei burned her people with wildfire. Everyone thought she was a badass. The hypocrisy is amazing. And then Euron last season. Theon, I fucked your sister. This episode as King's Landing is burning. Jaime, I had your sister. Very random things. And I do want to mention a couple of things that scrolled by here. Phil, I given a lot to the season, but it's rushed, and even novices can tell, says Alan. Dan and Dave have proven they're also ego involved and kind of petty, someone said. What was the comment that I had? Sorry, I'm just scrolling through. There, a couple people said things along the lines of, I think Uncle D said the show still will go down in history for what it did, and I agree with that. I agree the show's writing has slipped the last few seasons, but it will still go down as a new benchmark for TV the way Sopranos and The Wire did. I think for big productions and the way that they've put the way that the crew works and creates every episode like no show can. I think you're absolutely right in the ground and the way it captured everyone's attention at a point in time, for good or for bad. Game of Thrones will always be remembered in that category with those other shows. I think regardless of how this season ends. Pinklash's life is terrible writing. I like that. And let's listen to I miss David's Peter Baelish impression.
I can do it here in a second, but I was just going to say this real quick. If to compare the two, George R. R. Martin and Dan and David as a group, if you were talking about women, George loves the woman for who she is, her personality, the things that are in depth about her soul and everything. And Dan and David would go, she's pretty banging hot. That's how this show was handled.
And what would Littlefinger say?
Fight everyone, everywhere, every direction, always. Everybody's your enemy. Everybody's your friend. Everybody wants to kill themselves. Everybody wants a hug. Bricks. All the time. Watch out for bricks. I don't know.
Yeah, Littlefinger. Good to know. Good job. Littlefinger set the bricks. We got the May. Says to Dany, the people weren't innocent. They caused her losses. Now they roll over immediately, robbing her of her satisfaction. That's why. And Sansa must die. The hate is justified, says Steven. Trisha, if this season is disappointing you didn't understand Game of Thrones to begin with. If it didn't, sorry, not sorry. Awesome. I heard Bran finally lost his virginity in the final episode. And thank you. Let's listen to. We got a couple messages from. Oh no, let's listen to this message, and then we have a couple messages from M.
Hi, Bill. Hi, David. This is Amanda, and I kind of wanted to ask you guys why you thought that they didn't focus on Dany anymore after she decided to start burning everything, because it looked like she was looking at the Red Keep, and it looked like she was making a beeline for that, and then she just suddenly swerves and starts killing everyone with, at this point, I don't even care. I'm still Team Dany, but I did watch some theory videos on YouTube saying that, like, oh, maybe Bran did his whole he's gonna fly thing and warged into the dragon at the last minute and then just started laying waste to King's Landing, and that's why we didn't see Dany's face anymore because she would have been freaking out. I don't know if I buy that theory, but I just wanted to know what you guys think about them not focusing on Dany anymore on the dragon while she was burning down the keep.
I think there's a couple things there. I think first off, them not focusing on Dany and making a choice to not see her perspective while she's doing all that, I thought actually was good. And even their explanation for why they chose to do that, I thought was pretty decent. You know, even a broken clock is right twice a day, is that what they say? And by not showing her, it seemed like she's just a creature of chaos in that moment, and she's one with the dragon and just destroying the city. And I think I even added a little bit more than they said. They said, yeah, by not seeing her, we knew what everyone else was thinking, and we saw Dany was up there and we didn't focus on her. But I think if we're to transfer on that, that's why they didn't focus on her, so we would just be in the perspective of the people that were feeling all of that down. David, you seem to have a reaction to the message. What do you have to say about what our wonderful caller said?
It is too late for theories, okay? It's like they shot every prophecy in the foot in one episode, okay? Every single one. This Valonqar bullshit, every single fucker who was talking about Maggie the Frog for the last 8 years is a retard, okay? And it's all because these guys are idiots. They didn't do anything with the prophecy. You couldn't even see a little bit. They couldn't even do the killing joke thing where it's like, ha, 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 all the way to the bottom and only the Joker stops and then Batman continues. They couldn't even do anything like that. And the cleganebowl, like I said, this is so superficial. This whole show is so superficial. I don't give a fuck about good CGI. And guess what? I hate to break it to you. A lot of the CGI was really fucking bad. Okay? Like cleganebowl, they're fighting on a soundstage. It looks like a soundstage. They even said, this is how they describe their show. Hey, what was the significance of cleganebowl? It was really cool seeing them get to fight each other again on a staircase leading to nowhere. And I go, well, that just sums up the whole fucking show. A staircase leading to fucking nowhere. That is their own goddamn description of that, okay? That's like, this show has made them millionaires, has won them Emmys. They've gotten to work with some of the best actors in the world. And they're talking to you about the fucking visuals? Who gives a fuck? These stupid frost polar bear loving retards? Like, what? These guys do not give a shit about the story. Do not.
I missed a couple of super chats. Adam says Arya hopefully kills Dany and becomes Dany as a faceless man and rules everything and rides a dragon. And also, I missed one. K-Rich says killing innocents is historical norm. It's called putting a city to the sword. My only complaint is missing 7 episodes. No evidence George R. Martin is God. And someone else said, David, your impression was awesome. I think Uncle D said that. Is it bad? I wanted that horse to be a faceless man. And what she said about Bran. I think everyone with thinking that Bran could be every animal. I mentioned the night of the recap show, and I've heard a couple other people joke about it. That is Bran the horse, and I think it's just people wanting to have Bran mean something. You keep wanting to have whatever he went through him have a actual meaning or something, because I feel like at this point he's even more disappointing. His storyline is the one that disappoints me the most, because it's so much to lead up for him to have been bait, or maybe you say given Arya the dagger or whatever. But anyways, let's listen to a little bit of M's voicemail here.
Hey Phil, this is Trisha.
Or Trisha. I don't know why I have M.
I have been watching and reading all of these reviews and all of these people bitching about Dany and how she is snapped and turned into the Mad Queen, how it goes against everything. But honestly, since season 1, when Drogo killed her brother, we saw the coldness that she's capable of. And before you guys say, oh, well, Viserys was a prick and treated her like garbage and yada, 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 remember that he was her only family. They had been close. She assumed that they were going to be married one day, like all the Targaryens before them. They only had each other in the whole world, and even in her own words this season, they fantasized together about the terrible things they would do to the man who killed their father. She wasn't innocent to begin with, only naive. And as the story goes on, we see her claim her birthright to a land that she's never seen and people she doesn't know. She kills slave masters and Khals and the leaders of Karth, and with only the intention of gaining power and followers to take her to regain the Iron Throne. She takes all these titles they give her and wear them like badges of honor, even though most of them probably weren't intentional. She's fine with the killing of her only brother, even though technically he had made a bargain with Drogo that he had kept his side of and Drogo hadn't. She murders the witch that kept Drogo alive, even though she commanded her, and the woman warned her death was cleaner than what she asked for. She's fine with the murders of the leaders of Karth because they didn't bow down to her wishes and demands. She locks Zaro Zarandaxis and her servant into a vault to slowly suffocate or starve to death in the dark because it pleases her.
Can you pause it for a sec?
Yes. I'm gonna play the second.
Okay, hold on a sec. Was it Trisha? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay. Trisha, I mean this with all due respect. A lot of that message was very sycophantic to the show. It's letting them get away with too much. Nobody is denying that she had the ability to go mad within her, and they haven't been teasing this for season. They've been teasing it, yes, but it's all about how it was handled. The fact that she had already won and then did it, okay? Let me tell you something else. Here's something else they could have done. To foreshadow or to fit into her father's shoes, they could have had her take the city, eat Cersei, or whatever, kill Cersei, burn the Red Keep or whatever, but leave all the innocents. And then when people still hate her and they still don't accept her, then she gets out, flies out from the Red Keep on Drogon and burns all the people. Okay, just like her dad wanted to, because the Mad King never got a chance to. He wanted to kill everybody, but Jaime stopped it from happening. He wanted to kill everybody and be engulfed in flames to be reborn as a dragon, right? That's why he said he slit his throat to make sure that didn't happen. But it's not a matter of her taking all these titles and that she doesn't have the capacity to be evil. Yeah, we've seen that. But it's just the way that it was handled. It's so rushed. You can't deny that this is extremely rushed. If they had had 4, 5, 6 episodes more to show her gradually losing it, snapping, starving herself because she's worried people poisoning her, all of this stuff to where the Mad King became paranoid and all of that crap, we could believe it more. That's all. That's all people are saying. Not one person is denying that Dany had this in there. Not one person is saying, I'm shocked because she was such a great person before. No, they're not shocked by that. They're shocked at how quickly the turn was after she won. That's what they're shocked by. To kill people after you win. All right, that's it. And let's see how long the novel goes on.
Yeah, I ended up losing part of the message, and I don't know where. I'm just gonna play her second message at this point. Sorry, Trisha. It's I ended up losing that other half of that message.
Hey Phil, it's Trisha again. I wasn't fucking done. To continue, she's repeatedly used her and turned her back on Jorah, who loved her unquestionably. She left Dario in Essos to take care of her shit, even though he loved her and would do anything for her, just so that she could use her body for the pursuit of her own power. However, when Jon tells her who he really is, and obviously pulls away from an incestuous relationship that he's not cool with, she gets bitter and angry. It doesn't matter that she found family again. All that matters to her is her power and how she claims it. She even murders Varys, who really, in all reality, kept his word and told her that she was making a mistake to her.
Okay. I'm gonna just because we're running out of time, Trisha, I'm gonna move on to the next message right now. I will listen back on that later, and maybe Joe and I will talk about it in the next show as we go into the final of Danny. So let's listen to see what 985 has to say.
Hey guys, Trevor at Top Loaded Gaming again. So I would say that at least last season and this season has just been way too rushed. I've never really been on Team Danny, so I guess I'm a little bit indifferent to what she did in this past episode. Plus, I've always felt like this world, they've kind of always did this, incest equals some sort of mental issues, whether that be Tomlin killing himself or Joffrey going mad or whatever. I just feel like that's always been part of the show, so I always felt like she was destined to do it. Now, granted, it was way too rushed and it didn't really make that much sense how rushed it was. But, yeah, if you think that's bad, just hold on to your seats, strap in. So, that's it for me. See you guys later.
Thank you, Trevor. And Trisha, I'm sorry to hear that, but hopefully you'll be back. Area code.
I wasn't trying to be dismissive of it. I mean, in fairness, everybody else's voicemail is about 60 seconds long. It's as long as I leave. But we tried hearing you out. It's not that. I just disagree with you respectfully. That's it.
Yeah.
Nobody else has to hate on her. Nobody has to bother her. Just let it go.
Yeah. Area code 810.
To all Game of Thrones fans, TV viewers, and book readers, I have this to say. We have all been there to watch all the seasons, watch all the episodes, and seen the most horrific deaths ever brought to screen. But as we enter Season 8, everyone now is already losing their minds and pointing their fingers. People could say, blame D&D for lack of storytelling. Blame George R. R. Martin for not getting the books finished on time. I say to you this. If you think Game of Thrones, a reality-based fantasy death battle, will have a happy ending, I'll leave you a quote by the most evil character known to Game of Thrones besides Joffrey and Littlefinger. Ramsay Bolton. If you think this is going to end in a happy ending, then you haven't been paying attention. And if you're still bitching on next Sunday, I don't know what else to say. I've seen in something like kiddies. Leave your rants.
And I believe that's our last voicemail, David. We have some more text messages because the voicemail section went so well today. Let's go to let's go to some text messages here before we start to wrap things up.
All the text, fuck you, fuck this.
Phil Walking David was me, and I told you that night. No offense taken. This is all opinion based, so it's all good, Trevor. I'm a smug atheist. I'm used to be called an asshole or a cunt. Yeah. Okay. Oh, awesome. Okay. Awesome. I didn't know that was you. Cool. I wanted to make sure it was. It's tough to tell sometimes. So yes, I am also a cunt. And Antoine again sending me some wonderful pictures, baby. Oh, I love it. Let's go in the live chat for a second. Alan says, theory, Arya tries to kill Dany, but Dany kills her, and then Jon kills Dany. Thoughts? Maybe. I mean, I could see a 2-on-1 situation where Jon and Arya try to take her on and try to get past the dragon and Grey Worm, and we have a whole big action set piece with that. That might be ridiculous and fun. Dany's palms were sweaty mum spaghetti. She's ready to drop bombs, but keeps on forgetting. That was my voicemail. Thank you. Oh, no, thank you, Nick. No more. We need no more side butthole, please. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, top load of gaming. I agree. People shouldn't take offense, especially when you leave voicemails. We try to play them all, but I can't always play whole voicemails and shorten shows. And so whatever.
Well, I was just gonna say. I mean, I know everybody keeps saying the now a platitude, a Game of Thrones platitude of, if you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention. That doesn't mean that the ending has to suck ass, okay? That doesn't mean that they can't... Even if the villain wins, I'm totally fine with that. But here's the thing. Every character has to have motivation or a character arc or something that changes that gets you invested. And to set up or to foreshadow or set up and build character arcs and motivations and then to cut it off abruptly because you ran out of time, because you chose to end the show sooner than HBO allotted. They gave them 10 episodes. They said, we want to do it in 6. Okay? They want it out. Okay? So if anybody thinks this isn't rushed, you're wrong. They said it was rushed. They said we were rushing to get out of here. It's by their own admission. They had other things they wanted to work on. So in both seasons, they were given 10 episodes. Could have had 20 episodes in these last 2 seasons, and we've had 13. That's pretty rough, okay? If Breaking Bad, the final season, was 3 episodes, you might have a fucking problem with it. Just saying. Just saying you might not be able to fit all that Heisenberg awesomeness in there.
Okay, someone says, yes, David. I don't take offense, strongly disagree. We just need to think bittersweet and look at the writers, and they won't give us the ending that we want. Thank you, David. How about Dany killing all the Starks? That wouldn't be bad. Why didn't they just leave? Night King should have killed them all. That wouldn't have been bad if Night King killed more people, considering how this has gone. Question: do you think Dany will say the dragon went crazy or warged? No. I think she's going to take complete ownership of it, Pink Lash. 4 more episodes of Dany's insaneness would be maddening. I think we need anime filters to help season 7 and 8. The food is terrible. The portions are small. I think someone said, David, when you write your own show, you can do all those things.
That was Critch. Listen, you are totally right. And I hope that when I write a show, I don't paint myself into a corner, as any writer should want. As a writer, honestly, they should be kind of ashamed that they did it this way, because true writers and people who really, really care about what they're writing would never want to rush a story. They would want to tell it in the adequate amount of time needed to tell that story, which is why George R. Martin is withholding those books.
And I just got a text. I'm not sure I should read. I'm gonna read, but I'll read to you off the air, David. And let me play. Antoine says to play his second voicemail, the most recent one you left. Okay, so we'll play one last voicemail from Antoine, or part of Antoine's voicemail here, and then we'll take a little bit more live chat, and then we'll wrap things up.
Hey Phil, this is Antoine. This is my second message. Okay, now that you know, Targaryen thing is going to crush this and nip this shit in the bud once and for all. Okay.
Oh, Echo, be fair. It's marginal now.
Here's what happened. Nobody was bitching and moaning when Robert's rebellion cost the lives of millions of villagers at King's Landing. Yep. So why would you be surprised?
Good point. You wrote a message about this too, and I think this is a good point. Antoine says, why is everyone so surprised she did this when what Robert did at King's Landing was such a massacre as well? And he makes a good point, and I think people were hard on Robert. That caused Robert and Ned not to talk for a long, long time because of the sack of King's Landing, and also with everything that Tywin did or the Mountain did is basically what fueled the Viper. So Antoine, I think you make an excellent point there, that what Robert did sacking King's Landing wasn't the same type of dragon's a different thing, but it was still sacking and destroying the city, and it's worth mentioning.
Bill, I think somebody's saying you got a couple super chats that might have been earlier.
Oh, did I? We got Adam. Mickey Mouse killed Game of Thrones. Lord D went to the magic fucking kingdom. That's a good one. And thank you so much, Adam, and thank you to all of our super chat donators. You have been amazing today. And live chat, thank you guys for being awesome in there. We know it's getting intense. It's getting intense. Everyone in. I think when it comes down to it, some people, it's like a TV show. Why like it is a TV show. It's fun and people are having fun with it, but it's a show and it's a series that a lot of people have engaged in a great deal. So the television stakes are high and people have post-traumatic loss disorder. I'm going to make that a thing. It's when a series starts to go bad in the final season, it's like, is this happening again? Is this happening again?
If you had known that it was going to be this short at the time, I don't know, maybe they did know. But if we had known that season 7 and 8 were going to be this short and this forced to be this condensed, don't you wish we didn't get so many episodes of Arya being blind and King in like Bravos and like training sequences and montages and the playwright stuff and everything? All of that stuff makes sense because it's character development. However, when you're just going to ignore it because you have to get to the end, we're looking back on seasons and now we're hating on them because what a waste of time. Why were we at Craster's? Why we have the Night King to contend with? Now people are starting to question things that were beautiful ways of developing a story, but now feel so rushed that what was the point?
Yeah, and I'm gonna what someone said in the live chat. Justin said, I hate it's just a TV show argument. Me too, because it's like that's the best things to argue about are television shows, sports if you're into sports, freaking movies, comics, like that kind of stuff is the best stuff to argue about because it's fun and there's no stakes when it comes down, but there are stakes, you know what I mean? It's personal, fun stakes. That's what art is, or argue about a painting, or argue about who's the better poet, or whatever. Like, whatever you're into, that stuff, or the best bands, or arguing about like music and who the best guitar players are. That shit's for me, the most fun stuff in the world to argue about.
Yeah, and guys, I mean, listen, the same thing. Is it any coincidence that when they build the hype up for 2 years, that they're not able to live up to it, and then they're surprised that they couldn't live up to it? What did Batman v Superman do? That one took 2.5 years, and look how well that went over with people.
Yeah.
So same with Justice League.
Yep, and you're welcome, Antoine Thomas. Love you, buddy. Great message. I left Topload left one more voicemail too. He says it's short. It's not that surprising that Danny did what she did. It was just rushed and poorly executed. Retired Nurse says, I always thought George was a lazy writer when I read his books and was really wasn't surprised about the cutoff. Do you think he's incapable of writing anymore? I do think on some level he's trying to make it all make sense. So and this is my perspective. I don't know anything. I think that in some ways he's written a lot and then trashed it and started again and been further along at certain periods of time than he is, and then he goes back and goes, I don't like all that, and takes out a lot of stuff and rewrites. And I think that's probably what his problem's been, but I'm bringing that from bullshit. That's coming straight from my ass. So I mean, let's listen to the last voicemail that we have. Sorry, David.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then
Trevor,
and then we got another one. But
Top Load of Gaming again. I'm gonna keep this short, but you guys brought up the ending, the whole bittersweet thing. I just want to touch upon that really quickly. I don't think a bittersweet ending being foreshadowed is foreshadowing like bad writing being a part of the ending, And to me, so far, the only thing that was bittersweet that we got was the ending, like Cersei's death, because it was bittersweet in that we finally get to see, Cersei get her day, and it's ruined. It's sort of ruined or bittersweet because Jaime's arc is pretty much just abandoned for the sake of it, and obviously we see Dany's super rushed end that didn't really make sense. So the only thing bittersweet so far has been Cersei's death. So bittersweet my ass.
Voltron in the live chat. Lots of love to Devin. Thank you for coming over here and checking this out. Danny is the true hero of the story, and Dan and Dave can suck on John's nipples, says most plus. Top Loaded Gaming. Oh, thank you, Top Loaded. Icy Fury, a fan has a right to bitch about stuff. If that weren't true, sports media wouldn't not be $1 billion industry. Good evening to Smokahontas. Great to see you in the live chat, and great to see Chrissy and Broke and everybody.
Listen, when you are a true fan of something, you're invested. I mean, it's like becomes a part of you a lot of the time. It's just like if you had a style of music that you really, really like, that it becomes the soundtrack to your life in your head. Anytime you're by yourself and you're listening to it, and it would be like somebody completely changing that thing that you love, that thing that you've invested so much time into, and it makes you question all that time. And people deal with it very much like a breakup or a death of some kind. It's just like losing a job. If your whole life revolved around your work and then you lose your job, you feel like you lost part of yourself. And people who are really invested in these shows, they feel that way. And it's justifiable to feel that way as a fan, as an adamant fan. I am not a book reader of the show, and I'm probably going to people are going to kill me in the chat for that. But it's mostly because I don't want to read a story when it's on TV, because then I don't want to be one of those people that goes, well, the book was much better than the show. You know, like,
yeah.
Because if Breaking Bad was a book series, can you imagine how much of a fucking nightmare reviews would have been about that show? I mean, but it is understandable if you are a fan to critique a show. I think it actually shows that you give a shit. If you don't give a shit, you don't say anything. You go, it's a TV show, I don't really give a fuck, whatever.
And the live chat. Oh, Chrissy, you're too sweet. Blush, making me blush. Lots of love to Chrissy in the live chat. And Lena Headley deserves a Shakespearean end to her character. Lots of bitter, not much sweet. Game of Thrones is like real history, says Antoine. I want God to allow treasure in his historical library. Plenty of time. Maybe Dany can redeem herself without Drogon. I just wish I had listened to Devin and started watching the show ages ago, says Top Loaded Gaming. I didn't want to believe those YouTubers that were shitting on Game of Thrones after episode 3. I gave Dan and Dave the benefit of the doubt, but after episode 5, it sucks. It really sucks. This Cattegat. Cynical Lindsay says, I haven't read the books either, David. Don't worry about it. And Justin says, very true. I spent thousands of hours reading books, learned the history and lore, watching videos about it, watching the show. It's hard not caring. And someone said it perfectly above here. I think it was Pink Lash who very, very good with words. We wouldn't bitch if we didn't love it. So it's that simple. If you don't love something, you can't bitch about it. If you're just indifferent about it, that's the worst thing.
If your relationship went really, really south, if you really love this person and you spent 8 years with them, and then in the last week, you find out that they've not only been doing that, but for the last 2 years, they've been cheating on you behind your back, and you've been telling them you love them to their face all this time. You feel lied to. You feel cheated. You feel like that time was a waste. You could have been using it, invested in something else. And that's exactly how the fan base feels. So you should understand that. Okay? People should understand that, and you don't have to respect it, and you don't have to feel the same way, but you should be able to empathize going, if I think of it in those terms, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Critchard says, the bell rings, the battle stops, everyone cheers. Misa, John and Dany marry, have twins. Arya's baby sets there, and da-da-da-da-da. Okay, David, do you have time for 2 more voicemails?
Yeah.
Okay, area code 515.
Hey, Phil.
The date, actually, 515.
Well, this is Joseph with the Y again. I don't know why people are so mad at this episode, but they weren't as mad at episode 3. You know, episode 5 was better than episode 3 in almost every way. Episode 3 just took the most important story arc of the entire series and just threw it in a trash can and lit it on fire without explaining anything. At least episode 5 tied up some loose ends and actually had a plot that made sense and was clearly developed over the course of several seasons with Dany going mad. I think I agree that it was rushed, and I agree that if they had 10 episodes to explore it would have been a lot better. But I just don't think that this episode is the cause of the problem. The cause of the problem started, 2 or 3 seasons ago,
Damn right.
especially once they got past the book material, and it was exacerbated by dropping episode numbers from the seasons and trying to fit everything into a nice, convenient little box.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think this episode is the problem. I'm a huge book guy. I think this is very consistent with something George would do, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I think the problem is much deeper, and people are just waking up to it in this episode. But I don't think this episode was bad all by itself, other than the Euron fight. Thanks a lot. Talk to you later. Bye.
I somewhat agree. And I think, yeah, I agree with a lot of what the caller said.
I think that I agree with some of it, just like Phil does. It might be different parts of it. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
no, it would.
I would.
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to say was that I couldn't think of it at the moment. I had a blank moment. What George R. R. Martin said when they started to change things, he said there are little butterflies that pop up that are gonna expand, and you do the butterfly, the story changes, and before you know it, you're down in a brick wall. And then they get to the point where they have the outline of the stuff that George outlined that he wants the way to finish, and then it just doesn't mesh because they didn't follow his path.
Yeah, but also, I think everybody can agree, this is going back to it being rushed, is that tying up loose ends is one thing, but cutting off loose ends and not seeing them through or tying them up in a nice little dramatic bow is pointless. I mean, it's just the sign of bad writing. And I will be one of the first people to admit, at least now anyways, that The Walking Dead did this exact same thing.
Yeah.
Where it happened over the course of seasons. People started to not like where the show was going. The lead started having issues and having some pushback. Then you have negotiation deals around year 7, so it starts getting a little shaky there. They start to threaten people, kind of going like, listen, instead of upping your money, maybe I'll just write you out of the show. I can kill you off at any time. It's The Walking Dead. And so people fell in line with things just because they wanted to keep a paycheck. Some of these actors know that they might not get gigs for a while. So, and then the showrunners and the people who wrote on the show, like Scott Gimple, we all know the drama about that, him and Angela Kang. And look, Angela Kang came in, and she did do a decent job of trying to right the ship. However, the damage was already done.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, what if they tried to continue a 9th season of Game of Thrones after what we've just seen? And, like, continuing the storylines that they have ended and cut off abruptly, and they still tried to make a story out of it. And you'd be like, you just can't do it. You know what I mean? And that's what Angela Kang was trying to do. It's like trying to start a fire up using ashes as your kindling.
The Walking Dead has always been a bit shit, though, says Chrissy. And Chrissy also added, I want to see baby White Walkers. We got to see one at one moment with the finger touching. And I wonder if that is where White Walkers come back, because there's still some of the babies. They couldn't all have been all of Craster's sons, that one that was changed. How fast do the White Walkers age? More questions that we won't know. Voltron said they listened to the me and Devin's interview the other night. I called the Mad Queen theory back then. I did. I've been actually talking about that for a couple of seasons. And so I can't deny that I saw something like that coming, but I never thought she'd. Again, I've said it a few times. I didn't think she'd go to the Innocents. I thought she would burn down the keep and to get what she wants and not focus on the citizens of King's Landing. But whatever. Jasmine, have a good night. We're starting to wrap things up anyway. Good to see you and good to see everybody. Well said. A 9th would be pointless. The final better not be a cliffhanger in any way. Are we going to get the punchline of Tyrion's joke? We'll never know what that voice told Varys in the Flames or the Valancourt, but we maybe get that. Someone's bigger finger saying, do the little finger impression again. Dany's fans are always aware of shades of gray. People like yourself only focus on her negatives. If shows that no, and if you're, I'm not just going to focus on Dany's negatives. In this season, as I said, I would have rationalized, and I've been rationalizing up until this point, her making a decision like this. I totally think everything backs up her going fire and blood on King's Landing. I just think she took it a step too far. I think there was a point that she could, the line, and she decided, fuck the line, I'm going over the line. And I hope that maybe this next episode helps understand her motivation a little bit more, because it was cloudy in the moment.
I think, obviously they say that good storytelling is through showing and not telling. However, they didn't show the important things in this season, and they told us things this season instead. Sort of like saying, instead of Sansa being smart, they say she's the smartest person I've ever met.
Yeah.
Instead of Jon revealing to Sansa and Arya his true parentage, it's your choice. You tell them. Cut away. Don't see that. Sansa telling Tyrion, cut away. Don't see that or how it's received. I mean, they're showing all the wrong things and they're telling all the wrong things. They're just making bad decisions. It's not that the characters are bad or the actor's fault. Except maybe Grey Worm. He makes a lot of bad character choices. But,
wow.
It's... what?
Oh, no. People want to know why I'm interviewing Gary Sinise. And K Rich says
Denise. All right.
So that distracted me. And K Rich says so many complaints is making me like Game of Thrones more than I want to. And we got a couple. Okay, let's listen to these two quick voicemails from two funny guys. First, we got the Bloody Talker.
Hey, what's up, Phil? This is the Bloody Talker. I just want to say one thing about this series. I've just fallen out of love with Game of Thrones at this point, and I've got no more emotions left except for this. Fuck you, Dumb and Dumber. Fuck you, D&D. You want a shock value? You want to just shock us all day? You just want to subvert shit? You don't give a fuck about anything that this story had going for it. I hope you guys never touch Star Wars, even though that's been fucked to death already. I hope you never get to touch anything else with Game of Thrones. I hope Hollywood burns you at the stake, even though you're somehow getting rewarded for this utter piece of shit. Have a good day, Phil. Take care.
I think that message lives on its own. Listen to Pat.
Hey, what's up, guys? I was just wondering, do you think next episode we'll see anything about the Iron Islands and Yara, since we saw Sansa, kind of accept Theon as pretty much like her brother, even though Yara kind of bent the knee to Daenerys. I don't know, what's your opinion on that?
I don't think we're going to see Yara again. I think if we were going to see Yara again, it probably would have been maybe. I don't think so. I think no more Iron Ireland stuff. Iron Ireland. No more Iron Islands. And David,
I would agree with that.
David Granger. Hey, Phil and David just dropped you a voicemail. Oh, we can't go off. We got a super chat donation and a voicemail for the super chat donation. We must go on.
Yo, Phil. What's up, Dave? Walking Dead. Yeah, it's Draven, a.k.a. David Granger, giving you a call, listening to the show on the way in. Loving everything I'm hearing. I think everybody's giving Dan and Dave too much credit for the mess up, and not HBO as well. I'm sure HBO has as much, problems. Like they're responsible for as much of Dan and Dave, if not more than anybody else. The fact that they didn't want it to be the biggest and they're throwing money at to fix the problems, and not like they had 2 years to wrap it all up, and it feels like it was, paycheck penny, like basically, look, we don't care what's going on, here's the paycheck, get it done, get it out, we want this done, we want prequels, we want more stuff, so like, I understand Dan and Dave's did a lot of crap, but I put a lot of it also at HBO's feet on the finale, and then, had Reputation, and the power of HBO to get it done, and I'm grateful for it. I love the series and all, but like, I would have taken less dragons, and don't hate me, chat, but a little bit less dire wolves if it meant more episodes and more story development. I feel like we literally just watched a whole good 6.5, 7 seasons of just great performance acting and seeing where it's going as everybody's testing the limits. And then now it's like everyone has shown up to work, got their paycheck, and they're just reading the lines now. There's no negotiation. There's no, leeway with the script. Like, it's concrete, it's done. And they've just got to get the show done and get as much as they can out of their own performance that they're able to. But the finality, I think, also affects the actors as well as the designers and everybody else. Because, this is it. There's no more future for the story after this season. So, I think the finality of it, of just getting it done and wrapping it up, I think that's affecting everybody. The energy, the writing, everything is just affected by it. But I won't be long. But, yeah, love to hear your thoughts. I hope y'all get it, catch it this time. If not, I'll get you in the review. But, yeah, guys, have a good one. Loving it.
Great call, my friend. Way to keep it going and keep some fun stuff there. It's so tough. I mean, I don't want to be, we've bemused this show today pretty bad, or bemused it, battered it. We've been extra difficult today, and I definitely agree when you're at the end of something, you can get really kind of tense about it, but I don't think that's been the case. I'd love to let them off the hook like that too. I'll let them off the hook even more. I do agree that HBO is responsible to a certain extent for pushing or whatever for more and more, but I think you gotta put most of the blame of the state of the show on the showrunners. I don't want to keep repeating it. It's good to open it up to different perspectives, but I think HBO ultimately in this situation is just a blank check or big checkbook that's saying we just want more. Give us the money. They're the Ferengi in this situation, and they're just like collecting. I don't think they have much creative input in the product, but they could be some of the pressure that they put on Dan and Dave for every year. It's got to get through 10 episodes, blah blah blah. That added to their discomfort, but fuck those guys. But I feel bad for babies named Daenerys right now. Emilia Clarke has improved her acting over the years on Game of Thrones. I agree.
What sucks is that most of the actors have improved. I mean, aside from Peter Dinklage, who was great from the start, pretty much, and Varys, like the older actors. But I mean, the younger actors, this was like their big first thing. That this is the thing that they became famous for.
Yeah.
They all improved, and unfortunately for them, these last 2 seasons, as they improved, their writing got worse, and it had nothing to do with them. They did. That's why everyone is complimenting the acting, going, they did amazing for what they were given. And I go, and you should never put an actor in that position.
Yeah, it's
try to save your show and to save your ass. So the people like, Phil, who are being devil's advocate most of the time, who will try to rationalize it. Like, I shouldn't have to rationalize what characters are doing. I should get it. Sopranos, I know what Tony Soprano's thinking because they show it adequately enough.
Yeah,
they do it in a dream sequence. They do it based on how people are talking about him.
You do it with a look in his face in the context of a history. I want to spoil something that happens late in an episode after a car accident where he handles a family member, and in that moment, he doesn't say anything. You understand exactly why he's doing what he has to do in that moment, and that might be very vague to anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about. But hopefully it is, because I don't want to. That's one of those moments I don't want to spoil. But there's a moment where Tony does something in the final season. Right afterwards, he takes mushrooms just for reference in Vegas with the guy's girlfriend. Anyways, he. The reason why he doesn't say anything. You just understand why he does it, because you build up with so much character progression in so many moments. And I think Game of Thrones has that in a lot of the early on characters, but that's why a lot of the new characters introduced are some of the lesser interesting ones, because that's why Dorne didn't work. That's why some of those other stuff that characters the Euron doesn't work, because the casting and the writing and everything's bad, and we don't have history with these characters either. With a lot of the other characters, whether it be Sam and Gilly, you can deal with them because you've known them forever. Sorry. I said your trigger word.
For other people. Yeah, I know.
I said I trigger word you. Sorry, David.
Triggering so hard. Oh.
I did. Yeah, I'm sorry, David.
I will say this. It's like in season 6, we were still getting a lot of great scenes in Game of Thrones, like the finale in Battle of the Bastards, and the finale of season 6 was like looking back on it, a huge last hurrah for the show. And I mean, the Sept of Baelor blowing up and the music that accompanied it was just beautiful. It was some of the best television. I listened to that song, the Cersei's theme or whatever.
Yeah.
That's like 9 minutes long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For, I don't know, weeks, because it was like, I kept imagining the scene playing in my head. It was so vivid and so beautifully done. And John finding out his heritage by showing the Tower of Joy and him looking at the baby and then it dissolving right onto his face. Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. Beautifully done. You showed and you didn't say anything. That's what it is.
Speaking of that song was actually used in this episode as well, and that's probably the best part of this most recent episode was the music. I mean, it's like, oh, I can grab on that one, but he's incredible orchestration to every episode of Game of Thrones, even the subpar ones. Someone said someone's arguing or was saying the Sand Snakes were bad actresses. I would argue that they were more badly written than bad actresses, because one of them, Colleen from Iron Fist, not that Iron Fist should ever be talked about, but she was good on that show. Another one was on Star Trek Discovery, and she was pretty good in that performance too. So, and what do you call it? Alexander Siddig, or whatever his name is, Dr. Bashir, who played Doran on the show. He's an excellent actor, and he friggin' sucked on it too, because he was part of that Dorne storyline. So I think it had more to do with how that was all directed and written and plotted out than necessarily the actor's performance there. Bad Pussy's a pretty bad actress. I'll contend to that. But the other two Sand Snakes, I think, were just reading poor dialogue, and we're edited weird.
I mean, I don't know if it, man. People are saying that like Kit Harington's, like a bad actor, or he got boring or something like that. It's like, guys, he has no control over what they're doing to him this season. No, and believe me, I feel like as an actor, even though you're focused on the show, I feel like I've seen it in actors' faces before when they did not like the material that they're working with, and they're trying to kind of subtly hint to you that even I don't support it. Carol, season 9 of Walking Dead, you can see it on her face. She's kind of like, I'm not buying it.
Most of Bruce Willis's career post Die Hard 3 or something, you could just see this look on his face like, I don't want to be here.
And you can tell when you like feel something. Like I feel like those scenes where John was like the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch and all those scenes like with Stannis, I feel like that, like Kit Harington really loved where they were going with the story, and he was finally excited that they were going to give him some meat to dig into, to really play that authoritarian role and have some power in the scene. Yeah. And it's been lost.
In fairness, even you want to say what Daenerys has had has been ridiculous, what she's gone through. They've given Emil a lot of really good work this season to show off a lot of different shades of character that she hasn't shown before, and be less like kept and like show like a lot of her range. And I don't think Emil's been the best actress in other things I've seen, but she's gotten really good at playing Daenerys Targaryen in this last season. Kit, I think, part of the problem with why he seems so one-dimensional this season is because of what David is basically saying, that his character and the choices that they're giving him to make this season is a little one-dimensional. So it's coming off that way. He doesn't really have much to do except for say things like, yes,
she's my queen. She's your queen. She's our queen.
Yeah, and we have to fight the North, and so I was just going to type some dialogue to tell David to say, but you get the point. That's basically all he has to say this season, and it's disappointing because the last couple of seasons, I think Kit's got better and got a lot of shit to do. And I watched part of a miniseries he's in called Gunpowder on HBO that isn't bad. I wouldn't say it's excellent, but it's not bad. It's a couple of other performances. Christopher Lee refused to talk in Dracula movies. And thanks for that super chat donation, David. And if John doesn't kill Danny, then the last good season for his character was season 6. And what's up with John suddenly getting clumsy when he mounted a dragon? We're trying for some comic relief. That scene was absurd. And they never dealt with why his dragons weren't eating. Yeah, that's weird. And I feel like some scenes were left on the cutting room floor that had John connecting with dragons. Like, I feel like that was such, if we're looking back in the season, and we'll do that obviously after the season's over, but I think that's one of the points where you needed a few more episodes with a few more scenes with him bonding with the dragon.
Oh my God. Like, him bonding with the dragon. How fucking pointless is that? He flew a dragon and then the same episode that Rhaegal gets shot down, he's just like this, needs to recuperate. Doesn't mean need him or me weighing him down. And you're like,
yeah, we needed more. We needed more.
We needed that juicy Tormund scene. You know, that juicy I'm not gonna pet my own fucking direwolf scene. You know, like honestly, one of the dumbest things, like when everybody was talking about Ghost. They're like, oh, episode 3 just happened, but don't worry, guys, Ghost showed up in season 4. I go, how fucking stupid is that section of the fan base where that's what you give a shit about? Like, Ghost, do you realize that Ghost was gone for 3 seasons? Like, you didn't see him once. He was just gone. Okay? Like, not once. So don't act like it's an important thing. That's like nobody seemed to also acknowledge that Lyanna Mormont, she killed One. The huge giant
white one.
Yeah, because it already had one eye. It only had one eye because it had been shot out by Ramsay, and nobody acknowledged that. But they're thrilled that Ghost is there, who did fuck all in the episode. He was running in the foreground. It looked like they literally photoshopped a still image of him and moved him like a fucking horse. And he's keeping up with Dothraki. Also, the Dothraki, instant respawn.
Oh, yeah.
They showed back up in this episode.
Only half of them were killed, of course. He should go to Rhaegal without Dany there. I agree. There should have been a scene of him talking to somebody else, like talking to Davos. And Davos was like, I'm no big city lawyer, but you seem to like that dragon. And he goes, yeah, I have this word connection with the dragon and fucking die, whatever. And there should have been a scene like that between the two of them. Kit's accent isn't good, but he can do comedy. I will agree with that, Noreen. I think some of the best stuff I've ever seen Kit Harington in is comedy stuff. In that fake tennis documentary he did that was on HBO, he was hilarious in that. He was like amazing, like top notch. Like when he does comedy, I think he's relaxed and he's in his comfort zone. And I think moving forward, I would like to see him do more of that stuff instead of movies like Pompeii and trying to be an action hero. I think comedy is where his future is. Another person like that is the dude that plays Jax. I think Charlie Hunnam or whatever. I think he's a better actor and stuff like Undeclared when he's like being like using his comedy timing when he's trying to play a brooding character. It only worked in later seasons and mid seasons of Sons of Anarchy. When he's in other stuff like Pacific Rim and shit or whatever, the King Arthur movie he's in or another piece of crap movie he does, he never pulls it off for me. But he does comedy well, surprisingly. Like he was funny back in the day when he uses his real voice and doesn't try to do like an American accent, and he can be witty and funny.
And I'm pissing Critch off today. I wasn't trying to. Could have sworn it was 1-1, but 1-1 was burned?
That was not 1-1 when he was 1-1-1. I said 1-1-1 3 times. I believe he was because he died in Ramsey killed 1-1.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you might be right.
Ramsey killed 1-1, so he would have been burned once Winterfell was taken back.
You're right. Okay, that was far enough back. You're right. I was wrong.
Yeah.
Just coincidentally looked exactly like 1-1. Maybe they only had one giant suit.
It's like the Oompa Loompas in the Tim Burton one. They're all
hit you with a 1-2.
Yeah, all the giants are Deep Roy.
Well, that aside, he's right. That was a stupid thing. But I'll admit that I fucked up.
We're talking for 2 hours. You can't get everything right. You want to know how many times I get things wrong on this show, David? Come on. You know how much I talk. Hey, Girl Nettles, we listened to your voicemail earlier. Excellent call. Great to see you in the live chat, and great to have everyone in the live chat for this feedback show this afternoon. We'll take a couple of more things here and we'll get it. Jax Teller is my homie. Oh, we're getting to Jax Teller. I need to see his comedy. He was in a series that, it's not the greatest series, but he's very funny in it, I believe it's called Undeclared. It's with Linda Cardini and a couple of the actors from Freaks and Geeks. It was the second Judd Apatow series, the second go we had it. Jason Segal's in it, a couple of other people, Seth Rogen's in it. So, or pops up in it as well. So it's I'm not gonna say it's exceptionally awesome, but it's funny. And Jax plays a player kind of character, and he's speaking in his Australian, I believe, accent, and he's very quick. Like his comic timing is very quick. Surprisingly, when you hear him being Jax, it's an interesting dynamic, and he's funny. He's a funny guy. You're a funny guy, dude.
Yeah, I think Kit Harington honestly could easily, I mean, not like hunky stuff, but in a Chris Hemsworth type fashion, people are starting to see that Chris Hemsworth is pretty good at comedy, and he was playing kind of that regal, Thor in the first movie. Look at Thor, the first movie, and then, the Avengers movie. Yeah. The last couple of them recently, like they've added way more comedy relief with Thor than he was ever intended on having.
And I like it. I like it. I think it works better. I think it works better for the character, and it's true to the comics, which some Thor comics have that comic ridiculous Thor out of fish out of water kind of vibe to it. So it's not founded in just thin air actually. If anything good came from that piece of shit Ghostbusters movie, it was what's his name, Thor, realizing he wanted to do more comedy and influencing Marvel to write his character a little bit more funny. I don't know if I just made that up or that was true or I read that somewhere and it's stuck in my brain.
No, I think that's right. I think it was people, at least in Hollywood,
being like,
he was being funny on set.
Yeah.
And that the word kind of got around that he likes to joke around and likes to do comedy. And so they started doing it.
Yeah.
But
and later, everybody, I have not tried Chernobyl yet. But I hear good things. I've heard Undeclared, it was called Undeclared. Thank you. I think I called it something else. But yes. I forget what show I just mentioned. I probably was directing people to a different show. It's called Undeclared. Thank you. Thank you, RB, in the live chat. Okay, everybody, we've learned a lot today. It's been one hell of a feedback show, everybody, and it's been one hell of a season. We appreciate all the intensity and all the fun and all you guys in the live motherfucking chat today, bringing it and having a lot of fun. Whether you agree with what we're saying, agree with what David says, or agree with what some of our callers say, we appreciate every single one of our callers. Whether we rag on you a little bit and have a little fun in the moment and blow you up, or have the Hound call me a cunt, or play Joe shut the fuck up, or play me shut the fuck up from our good buddy Tim, which is nothing worse than being told to shut the fuck up from Tim. You think we like it when that sound effect comes up, or when that shut the fuck up Phil sound cues in the back?
Shut the fuck up.
Oh no.
Shut the fuck up.
It doesn't feel good to get Tim Gershed, okay? It does not feel good to get Tim Gershed. So we do appreciate everyone that's in the live motherfucking chat, and keep bringing it. Keep bringing this fucking intensity for this next week as this show ends. It's television important to a lot of folks, myself included, and we're gonna be talking, or at least I'm gonna be talking about this for many years to come. And no matter what, the way fucking nostalgia works, no matter how bad you're hating this now, you're gonna miss it when it's fucking gone. And years from now, you're gonna be a fucking Game of Thrones. It's fucking awesome. And yes, we're gonna do a Sons of Anarchy rewatch at some point. Someone suggested that in the live chat. So high quality silliness. That's what we try to be here. That's gonna be the subtitle of the channel. High quality. Get ready to ring the bell. And then this week we'll be doing 2 shows on my channel the day of the season finale. Fortunately enough, I'm going to be having the pre-show. It's my turn on the season finale day. So Preston and Carmine will be joining me on my channel before the episode airs at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you come and check that out and throw some questions in the live chat. We usually don't go in prepared with anything, and we just kind of take questions from the chat. And also, Joe Dirtylocks and I will be on after the episode airs at around 10:45, 10:50 Eastern Standard Time, right after the episode airs, for one more final recap show of Game of Thrones proper. Not our final podcast, of course, but we've got plenty of other shows to knock off the list here, and old shows and new shows and movies we're going to start talking about a bit more as well, like movies in the theater, and go see some stuff on premiere nights and come back and talk about them. We got a couple of fun stuff coming up soon, but make sure you join Joe and I and everyone in the live motherfucking chat. So David, where can people find you if they want to hear more about you?
Well, I do, at least this season, I've been kind of making the rounds on several people's podcasts. I recently did a spot on Secrets of the Citadel and Blaze Manga with our mutual friend Simon. And you can check out my channel, which is The Walking David. I usually try to upload videos, like live streams of movies that I just saw. I also put up trailers to short films and films that I'm working on. And I'm going to get some more Game of Thrones related impression videos out soon. I just am in the process of writing how those videos are going to go. So please subscribe to my channel, The Walking David. If you want, I'll put a link to my Instagram in the chat here. It's just at Mr. David Grayson without a period. And you can follow up with my acting stuff and filmmaking progress.
Excellent. And make sure you check that out and follow David. He's very fun. He's got a couple of cool, awesome videos. Someone said earlier today I'm doing a podcast with Rick Grimes. And yes, I am. I'm doing the podcast with Rick Grimes.
That's right.
Rick,
all right.
I've missed you, dude. Where are you excited about your movie coming up?
I don't know. Just depends. See if Scott Gimler's going to try to write that. I hope not. But Glenn, he's in a dumpster somewhere.
Somewhere, and we don't know.
Somewhere in movie dumpster heaven.
Oh my goodness. I was getting ready to ask Phil. Soprano, Breaking Bad are the only long-running series that will live in infamy. Game of Thrones got ruined. The Wire as well, and I will also say Oz. And I think a lot of the HBO ones are really good, but I think if we're talking about that upper echelon of series, you have the mighty three of, for me, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul. I'm considering that one show. Go fuck yourself. I don't give a fuck. Bring it. The Sopranos for me, and I would say The Wire. And then I would say those 3 shows for what they were, and I would say that next tier would be Oz. Oz isn't quite perfect, but those first few seasons sure the fuck are. And if I just judged Oz by the first 4 first 3.5 seasons, I would call it one of the best shows. I think it gets a little weird towards the end of it, but always maintains a certain level of quality. Boardwalk Empire is another show that's really great. I wouldn't call it one of the best shows of all time, but I would definitely include it in a great show. 6 Feet Under is very underrated and gets forgotten about over time. It's a hard show to watch. It's depressing at times, but it's exceptionally well done in what it's trying to achieve. It sets its goal of what kind of show it is, and it fucking kills it on that one. So there's a lot of really great shows out there, but I can't argue with the Breaking Bads and Sopranos. That would be my number 1 and 2, and that comes down to the argument with Breaking Bad maybe getting it a little bit because of Better Call Saul. So I guess it's a cheat. Okay, Oz is too depressing. David B., it's the most depressing show of all time. My cousin Craig refuses to watch it because he said every episode I start to like it. I'm liking the episode. Next thing I know, something fucking depressing happens. But Oz always generally made sense. Always generally made sense? I don't know, whatever.
60% of the time, it works.
Yeah, 50% of the time it works. It works every time, David. So,
that was an original film.
So if you haven't already and you enjoyed this shit, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Share this channel with a friend. Help us keep growing. Help us keep going. Share with us. Come back next week. As I mentioned, I'll be back before the show episode airs, 6:30, with the good guys from the Game of Thrones podcast. I will be on with Joe Dirty Locks after the episode airs. And then next week, we will have a feedback show again. I will be joined by Gemma from the Secrets of the Citadel to take all your feedback questions next week. So, oh my goodness. Don't do it. Oh my god. Yeah, Oz makes everyone depressed. It does. Breaking Bad wins. Breaking Bad always wins. Westworld, we'll be reviewing Westworld. We'll continue. Cheers, amigos. Goodbye, everybody in the live motherfucking chat. Thank you for making my day with this silliness. I love it. Goodbye, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
So, what did you think of Back to the Future 2? I thought it was a really good movie. I liked it.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. What did you think of Back to the Future 3? I thought it was pretty good.
I like that Western setting. I thought that was Biff's best performance.
I do. I think, Biff, he really gets to show his range. And I think, it's good. It's good. But the love story, I didn't love it. I didn't like how the ending wrapped up with Flea and the Don't Be Chicken stuff, but whatever.
Yeah. Yellow. Yellow.
Yeah, but whatever. We did it. Talk to you guys next time.
Yes, everybody watched. All right.
We got it.